It had been an ordinary June day in London's West End, the kind of brisk summer afternoon where the bustle of Piccadilly feels alive, but comforting. Selina Scott, now 74, ambled out of Waterstones, her steps steady, her mind drifting to errands and the afternoon ahead. She had spent decades under studio lights, her voice a constant on British television. Now, walking these familiar streets felt like a moment of simple peace. But peace, she would soon learn, could vanish in an instant. Without warning, a sudden impact struck her right knee as hard as a punch. For a moment, she tumbled, not to the ground, but close. The pain radiated like icy water through her leg. Disoriented, she realized she was surrounded, perhaps 7 or 8 individuals, dressed not sloppily, but in sleek sportswear that looked deliberate. There had been no warning, no sense of danger, only the orchestrated chaos of a coordinated assault, in broad daylight. Terrified but resolute, she clutched her backpack. A hand fumbled its zipper. When she looked back, the thieves had melted into the crowd, leaving her bruised and grotesquely vulnerable. She had lost her purse, driving license, bank cards, and the last of her cash. Taken aback, she staggered into the nearest sanctuary she could find, Fortnum Mason. She radioed for help, but when the police arrived, none. In emphatically busy central London, not a single uniformed officer was in sight. Returning home was no relief, it was another ordeal. With no cash, no cards, and no taxi in sight, she walked miles through London streets she had once navigated with casual confidence. Humiliation and anger echoed in her bones. It wasn't just shock, it was the awful sting of disbelief that something like this could happen to her, and that no help had come. She wasn't just upset, she was furious, and deeply fearful, not for herself but for everyone. Can you walk the streets of London safely? I'm telling you, they can't. That fear seethed through her public statements, through her calls into LBC's Nick Ferrari show, through every retelling of how the metal object smashed her leg and how the cordon of criminals melted away without consequence. Pain and trauma pushed her feelings beyond anger, into blame. She directed it squarely at the man responsible, in her eyes, for public safety, the Mayor of London. Faced with a public so vulnerable that she walked whole stretches of central London without seeing so much as a patrolling officer, I actually blame the Mayor of London, she told The Telegraph. Not the police, not directly. The police, she said, operate under the Mayor. So when the law that is meant to protect you doesn't show up, you blame the hand that commands it. Her words rang with a kind of cold logic. More than I blame the police, the Mayor of London took on the job to keep the people of London safe. Her indignation wasn't just about the attack, it was a broader question at the heart of civic life. Why wasn't everyday security a public certainty, like it appeared to be for the royals, the wealthy, or the loudest protesters? Why doesn't the public have security? Why don't I get it? She demanded. In response to the uproar, Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley did something rare. He publicly acknowledged the failure. On LBC, he listened to her voice message and offered a heartfelt apology. I can feel for her. It was not the service we would expect. I'm sorry about that. It didn't erase the pain, but for Scott, that admission mattered. It was a way of recognition, an acknowledgement that what happened wasn't normal. It was a lapse in duty, in public faith, in responsibility. Her comments set off a ripple, shaking political discourse, media narratives, public consciousness. Social media users questioned the trend of holding the mayor accountable for policing failures. On Reddit, one user pointed out, crime exists in Birmingham, Manchester, but only London's mayor gets this much vitriol. Another noted the irony, calling Sadiq Khan responsible for every pickpocket case seemed extreme, as though he's meant to single-handedly stop crime. Still, others sympathized with Scott's frustration. If a well-known national broadcaster felt unsafe in such a busy area, what did that say about overall public safety? Her experience did more than make headlines. It reopened a conversation about urban policing, visible presence, and the unspoken contract between citizens and elected leaders. Selina Scott's story is not just a crime anecdote, it's a mirror. It reflects how fast trust erodes when systems fail, and how visible safety, or a lack of it, becomes symbolic of broader governance. It is also human. Behind the camera, behind decades in broadcasting, is someone who walked a familiar street and found herself suddenly adrift. Her anger wasn't political posturing, it was pain, bruised and exposed in the most public way. In the end, whether or not you believe Sadiq Khan should bear the blame, one truth remains: when a city cannot ensure that a 74-year-old woman can walk home from a bookshop with money in her pocket, it's a conversation we all must have. Because it isn't just about one mugging, it's about every moment when public safety wavers, and we feel we might be next.